One and all, or just one. Whoever shows up. I'm doing a short live because I would like to do the introduction of something, and I would like to talk about our steps moving forward. So I will wait for a minute for people to mosey on in here. Getting ready for that live. Come on, where is everybody? Come on in. Have a seat. Grab some popcorn. Sit down. Wow, nobody so far. Well, I'll be right back. If anyone's watching, I'll be right back. I'll grab the tablet. Where's the tablet at? All right. Let's see here. Wait for y'all to get here. See if people are gonna come in. Are they? Where y'all at? Ah, there we are. We have people. Wonderful. Waiting for some people to come in so we can go ahead and explain what is going to happen. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. This is going to be, I'm basically going over how things are going to go for this assembly and spin up of this 170 millimeter 22 blade high pass EDF. As you can tell, I'm still printing some of the ductwork. Loving this red and black. It's totally awesome. It's gonna look sweet. And that fan is just cherry smooth on that spin. And I didn't even put on the drive system yet. But I'd like everyone, as many people as I can, to show up here so I can go ahead and explain what is going to happen with the final assembly and the spin up. So basically what's going to happen is I've never done a premiere before, ever. So, and because the only camera I have is this iPhone, basically what I'm going to end up doing is I'm probably going to record it as a premiere, and I'm probably going to record it using the audio from my Rodecaster NT1, which I'm going to have here so that you guys can hear that turbine in all of its glory because of the noise clipping, the noise filtration and stuff that you get on an iPhone really doesn't do it justice. So, and I kind of want you guys to experience the whole thing like 100%. So, yeah, things would be better if I had like a GoPro or something like that, and then, I could get pretty good audio using my NT1. But right now, basically, what's going to end up happening is during the premiere, and I've kept everything apart. I did redesign this to be a little bit more rigid because the carbon fiber rods are going to go through here and then down into the bearing assemblies for the planetary gear system. And then this will attach to the motor, and then that will be attached to the back of the fan here. Let me see if I can show you. Like so. And then the motor sits over, well, I gotta get the holes in there lined up, but motor sits in over the top like that. So that's the rear drive system. And of course, this is the index that carries the carbon fiber rods right here that goes through the bearings that are going to be all in here. And of course, I'm going to stack those bearings up so that I have no play in the system. And the idea behind all of this is, if I do it as a premiere, then what's going to end up having, hi Ryan, how you doing? You know what? I have no idea, man. You're just going to have to work on those levels yourself. You could be more like me, and then you'd have all you need. Right? Yeah. It's the beard. You don't have a beard? Ain't got no riz. Move on. So the way I'm explaining the system, the way everything's set up is, before I do the assembly on anything, it's all going to be recorded and then set as a premiere, and then we're all going to watch it together because I need to have the audio from the Rode NT1, but you can't do a vertical live on an iPhone and run a Rode NT1 as the audio source. You can't do them separately. So it's either I have to have a PC cam or a GoPro or something recording, and then I have to go in. It's really hard to get lives done that way unless you have like a really expensive camera. And I don't. So that's what we're going to go with. So the idea behind all of this is that we basically, I do the assembly just like I had said I was going to do. The entire assembly is going to happen on film, just like we're doing here. And then I'm going to move the camera up. We're going to get the engine strapped down. We're going to get it chained up with my chains, because if I don't have these chains on there, these ropes aren't going to hold. And I know that because of how much thrust it's going to put out. So after I get the top casing done being printed, then what I'll do is everything's going to basically, be taken apart and then assembled on film. And then we are going to, let me get this moved up here a little bit. Yeah, okay. We've got the straps ready. Everything's good. Drive system, ESC, power supply, planetary gear group, and connecting rods from the motor to the planetaries. So that's how we're going to handle that. So realistically, the idea is, it being sort of my first premiere, we'll still be able to ask. You'll still be able to ask questions. Obviously, I'll be there to answer them, but you'll be able to watch that live or that premiere as it's alive. I've never done a premiere before, obviously, so I'll still be able to focus on answering questions as you're watching the assembly take place, and then the spin up. Target velocity, we know, is 32,000 RPMs. Target pounds of thrust, 55. Power supply, 48 volts. 150 amp ESC from Fly Dragon. That's just, and we'll have an amp monitor right here so you can see everything that's going on. And we have the bigger planetary system that's going to survive, I believe, way longer than the other one did. And that's what's going to end up happening. So it is going to be a premiere video so that I can get you the best audio I can through that NT1 microphone. Because one of the main things I wanted to do in this particular study is see how much engine noise and how much gear noise we get, and how much more fan noise there is. It doesn't override the fan noise. The fan noise override that. Because eventually this is all going to be CNC'd. I've made up my mind that I'm getting that pocket NC. It's going to be expensive. Pocket NC. If you get a chance to take a look at this and you want, I can show the whole world your system and how it performs just by doing this right here. So hey, if you want to send me one, feel free to send me one, and I'll do everything on your machine, and we'll show its precision. Yeah, shameless plug, but hey, if I can get a free machine. What the hell is that? Who the fuck's talking about? What are you guys talking about? I'm not looking at the screen. I don't know what the fuck a goon is. Get him, Stacy. Get him. We're always gonna have we're gonna have people that jump in and do this. They're gonna see it live and they're gonna try and jump in and it's an attention thing. It's like I don't even to be perfectly honest with you, that's a made up word, like woke. So you can take that with you. It's like this guy. Let me guess, Hudson. Are you a barista by chance? Just curious. You sound like a barista. That's a good one. What does that mean? You took standard English, right? I mean, it's a pretty obvious statement. Are you talking about what I'm saying or what Stacy is saying? Do you know, or do you not know what barista is? I mean, you've got to clarify what you're asking. You miss his dad because he let what? Who? Who are you talking about? You're standing in front of a mirror, aren't you? My dad's dead, and he was never around in the first place. I didn't give a shit one way or the other. That's why I went to war. It taught me how to deal with people. You're not 11 or you wouldn't be on this stream. Don't lie. Besides, we could easily look up your account, and if you're posing as a child online, I believe it's a federal offense. Is that the road you want to go down? Okay. I mean, if you want us to verify that, we can, and then report to the proper authorities when we find out your real age. Until then, either enjoy the content or buzz off, because I'm trying to entertain some people who actually give a shit about what I'm doing and aren't trolling for attention. So, are we done? Or do you need to sit in a corner? I'll print you a dunce cap if you need one. No answer, or is it just the delay? Just curious. Okay. Look, we weren't talking about weight, man. We're talking about age. Okay? So stick with one subject. All right, you have a good night there, 400-pound, 11-year-old Hudson. Thank you for moderating, my beautiful wife. I appreciate it so much. Saves me the missile batteries. Oh, Good Lord. Anyway, back to what I was saying. We've been live for 15 minutes and then we've managed to hook 2 trolls, literally 2 trolls, right off the bat. I must be doing good. Damn. I must be pissing people off just because of how damn good looking I am. Is that it? Must be it. It's gotta be the beard. Must be the beard. Could be the big nuts. We'll leave it at that. Anyhow. Like I was saying, turbofan, 170 millimeter 22 blade high pass fan, spinning at 32,000 RPMs, 55 pounds of thrust, and me over there running it like in the corner over there because when this thing kicks up, it's gonna kick up hard, and that's why we're doing it in a Premiere. Because if this thing goes sideways and explodes, which I assume it will after about 35,000 RPMs, it is only PETG. It's strong, it's Overture, it's good, I like the material, but the situation we're going to encounter is whether or not that fan fails, because now we're not going to worry about gears failing, because we're not using these little tiny ones that I machined for, or designed for machining, CNC. And that's really why I want the Pocket CNC, or the Pocket NC. Because it's, at first I thought it was a much cheaper solution than getting a standard CNC. But, and it probably is, but it's still over 10 grand. So, you know, I mean, what are you going to do, right? So, if 10,000 of you buy me a coffee on my link, then I'm good to go. But after this, we are going for the CNC version, and that is for the purpose of a larger project that I'm working on regarding this fan at 3 times its size. Right now, it's going to run the Flip Sky 6374 190 kV motor on a 4-to-1 gear ratio step up. That is running at 48 volts. And 190 kV times the volts gives you the RPMs of the motor, times 4 gives you 36,000. That's maximum theoretical RPMs. I am not going to push it that far. That's for the overhead. And so is the 150 amps, because this is rated at 80, but it can push 120, 130 amps. And it's designed to actually hold that kind of power. It's designed to actually take that kind of heat. Not to mention the fact that the CNC version, the gearbox is going to be finned so that it can bleed off heat, because it's going to be made out of aircraft grade aluminum. And the fan itself being pushing the air past the engine that's mounted behind it is actually going to help dissipate heat a lot better. Especially since we're pushing 0.665 0.665 kilograms per second of air volume. So, sorry, there's so many numbers in my head. And one of the reasons why I went back and redid this collet section that attaches to the motor and put these reinforcements in, made it a little bit higher, and made it for a 5 millimeter instead of a 4 millimeter, because my inner diameter of my bearings that I'm pushing is 5. So I'm going with the 5 carbon fiber rod. That's even better than the 4, so that makes me happy. It's going to be a lot more rigid. What's up, Sags? What's going on? I am basically talking about how we're going to do when I do the assembly and I do the spin up. It's going to be from beginning to end. From what you see, nothing's really been assembled except for the fan section in the smooth running gears or bearings. And then I've been printing the case, and this thing's gonna look gorgeous. So I've been printing the case. It's almost done and complete. Everything's basically a part for the most part. I mean, it's like, if you can't, like, I know people want to know how this is put together, but if you can see this, and people who say like, well, how do you assemble it? And I'd be like, you can't get any more simple than that. I'll talk about the parts that I'm going to be using, the program that I used, of course, and then the STL files will be made available after I have everything finished. But it's going to be a premiere, so everything's going to be assembled from from its stages now, all the way through to the spin up, where we do the spin up until the motor either fails or the gears fail or something else. And it's going to be as a premiere, so it'll still be live, because I guess premieres work that way. I haven't done one yet, but I'll be able to answer some questions and kind of relax and watch the video with you and answer questions as I go along, in watching the premiere alongside all of the people who are going to be there, I hope. So that is the idea. Yeah, I'm excited for it too. I'm extremely excited for it. I think the gears are going to survive. To be honest with you, when I got to half throttle, if I can get to half throttle with those teeth, damn, focus. If I can get to half throttle with those teeth right there in the planetary, I think I'm going to get past it with those. That, and I'm using the high heat and Interflon AT1200, which is a heat resistant paste. So that's going to help. I'm going to make sure it's packed with that. All right. And if I need to thin it up at all, that's where the super fin comes in, or the fin super comes in. I keep saying it backwards. Damn. So the first part of the second half of the case is on the printer now. After that, I'm printing the back half. So this side is going to be black up top and red on the back. This one's red on the front and black on the back. It's just going to look cool, And then everything's got 4mm bolts holding it down this time instead of 3, which means I got less connection points here. Again, this ductwork is very simply for testing. The main engine, which people can drop into anything they want, is basically this, with the gearbox on the back and the engine sitting on the back. So that's your engine. And turbine, for those who will critique me later on. I mean, like, because I guess I'm pissed off one guy, something awful, I guess, by calling this an engine. And he's like, it's not an engine, it's a turbine. I'm like, no, engine is defined as a mechanical machine that produces power or forward movement or motion. So I can call my turbine an engine. Hell, I could call a rock an engine if I dropped it with the assistance of gravity, because it's mechanical motion. Kinetic energy, potential energy, so on and so forth. Don't make me break out Einstein. You'll be here all night. So, but I promised I wouldn't do a very long live, because the idea was to basically get everybody ready for the premiere. So the premiere is going to be filmed. It's going to be with the Rode NT1 mic. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. So because the only camera, like I said before, Sags, I don't know if you heard before, but because the camera is basically on the iPhone, it's the only camera I got that's high enough resolution to make it look somewhat decent. We're going to do the vertical live, but it's going to be filmed as a premiere, because the sound will be coming from my Rodecaster Pro and my Rode NT1 mic, which will be close to the turbine, so that you could hear the fan, you can hear the gearbox, you can hear the engine, and kind of get an idea. And I'll move the mic around so we can kind of get sort of a 360 sort of sample of front of the engine, middle of the engine, back of the engine. And plus it sounds so much better, like especially when you're here and you're here in, in real life listening to it. The iPhone mic does not do it justice. It is the most adrenaline pumping, terrifying thing that I've ever done, and it's extremely exciting. I mean, because it could blow up at any second, the fan blades could go everywhere, I could smoke the engine or the ESC. I mean, any number of things can happen. Being right here, this close to the fan when it's doing what I had 15 to 20,000 RPMs last run on the other fan before the gears stripped out. That is, I don't know what it is about being terrified about that. That makes me want to do it over and over and over again. It's the adrenaline, I guess. But I mean, it's nuts. But the way everything's going to go down is the main reason why I'm doing the premiere is, well, two reasons. I haven't done a premiere yet, and I want to be able to answer you guys' questions. I want to be able to talk about the turbine. I want to be able to focus on what the viewers are seeing during the entire process, so that I'm not doing it and focusing on answering questions. Because as I'm concentrating on doing this, I lose some of the questions, or I'll miss some of the chat. And I don't want to do that this time. I want to be able to focus on that. I want to focus on everybody's input. Yeah, I'll be in the chat, plus I'll be on my mic as well. So I'll be answering questions live. We'll be watching the premiere together, and then we'll see the results. And then after this, I'll be printing the ductwork for the Shrike XL. So the XL version has actually 20 millimeter carbon fiber inputs on the bottom for the arms. There's a small cutout at the back side, just like you saw in the stubby version 1. And that's because on each corner of the drone, I needed some air to kick out. 2 reasons. 1, ground effect. Ground effect will lock this down even if it's pushing full throttle. And what'll happen is if you don't have any kind of air escaping from sort of a cutout at the back of the ductwork, it'll pop up. As soon as it loses suction from the ground, it'll pop up and you'll lose control of it. I learned that with the Shrike drone. So the back end of the actual the duct itself has a small cutout like this. And what that does is it alleviates any of that pressure that builds up from ground effect, so that it can push that air out and get off the ground easily. And if you ever saw the Shrike V10 Maiden, you know that's exactly how I designed it. I put the engines in the sleeve, and I had a cutout that acted as landing gear. Well, this is going to do the same thing. Also, to complement that, they'll be sitting like that. This is a little bit dirtier because it's an older version. It'll be sitting like this. So we'll have 20 millimeter carbon fiber rods going to the corner mounts of each part of the drone body. And then that ground effect cut out at the bottom, so that we don't get stuck to the ground, because it will suck itself to the ground if you don't. It doesn't make sense to most people that if you're pulling air through the front, that why wouldn't it push it out of the back and push it off the ground if it's flat? Well, it's because of ground effect. It creates a suction is what it does. is trying to push air out, but it hasn't pushed out enough air to create thrust to lift it off the ground so the air can escape and it can pull more air in. So it's not going to pull in enough air. It's just going to push it back off the ground and back into the fan. And what that does is it causes a low pressure system that won't let it off the ground. So that's kind of what you have to fight against. So that's what the cutout was for on the bottom half of the other ductwork. So this style of ductwork will be around 4 of these engines. At the corner of the drone, on all 4 corners. So, fairly simple. Yes, we are getting very close. At this point, once this engine is proven, then if I make 3/4 throttle safely, I will burst to close to full, but I don't want to overstress it. Because when you're running iNav on this for angle mode, and trust me, I'm going to be running angle mode, and I'm going to limit the degrees to less than 5, just so we can get a hover at first. Yeah, it's going to definitely, it's going to be scary, but I love it. Love it. I mean, we're talking 55 pounds times 4. So it's going to have some power. And the reason why we're going to start, like when I take this out to the field where you've seen me fly or attempt to fly the P-51, I want to make sure that you guys are able to see this thing hover. At the very least, hover in the beginning. Because with iNav, you can set the angle mode, put it on a switch. You can go into acro mode, but I am not an acro pilot. I will acro straight into the ground. I don't have goggles or a VTX like I mentioned before, so I don't have any onboard video. I don't have a good camera for onboard video. I kind of wish I did. I just don't have it. I would love to get like a GoPro or an Insta camera to do this, but we're getting close. After this spin up, after this premiere, if everything runs smoothly, I start printing Shrike XL, which won't take much longer to print. I mean, it's more about printing time than anything, and then picking up 3 more of those ESCs, 3 more of these motors, and 6 more batteries because we're running in series. So, and I'm probably going to stay with the same packs that I'm using right now for the initial launch of the Shrike XL. Just because of their weight, it's just kind of to help with weight mitigation. I do have the power distribution board already for it. It is a Taro 480 amp. It should be more than enough because we're going to push 120 max at full throttle on the amps. So I'm betting I'm getting a hover at less than a quarter throttle. I mean, to be honest with you, I'd be surprised if it didn't try to start hovering once I armed motors. So that's gonna be pretty good, I think. It's moving a lot of air, so there's definitely it may try to hover even at idle. So I'm gonna have to watch that very, very closely. But iNav and iNav, SpeedDB, F405 wing, and a Taro power distribution board at 480 amps, and then 8 packs at 4,400 amps per motor. Probably give me a runtime. Actually, the runtime is probably going to be pretty decent, considering at half throttle I was only pulling 11, 12 amps, somewhere around there. So I think it's going to be fairly effective, especially with that motor. And who would have thought? A skateboard motor, right? But yes, during the premiere, I will be on mic. I will be on in chat. And that is to help me to, like I said before, to concentrate on answering the questions about the video that you're seeing. I wanted to assemble it live, but like I said, there is a lot more sound you guys are missing from this fan because of the audio constraints of the phone that I'm using to actually film. So I will be using the Rode NT1 because it has excellent sound, and it's going through the Rodecaster Pro. We're going to put it on natural sound, not broadcast, nothing. No processing whatsoever. You're going to hear the full range, the full spectrum of the sound that's coming off that engine. From the front, from the side, from the back. And then if we hit that three-quarter mark, three-quarter throttle, roughly, and we can maintain it until the batteries die, we're good. We're good. And then Shrike XL is going into production. So we're looking at probably a week before Shrike XL starts, as long as everything goes well on this Premiere. The rods and bearings will be here tomorrow for the planetaries and the collet that indexes the motor. So yeah, and I made it more robust. Went up to 5mm instead of 4. Bearings ID are inner 5mm, so they should work just fine. Now, typically you take a 5mm carbon fiber rod and you can't fit it into a 5mm hole because it's the same size. So you gotta, basically, I chuck it into a drill, the carbon fiber rod. And then, of course I can't find one. Okay, here it is. So I'll take the rod, cut it to length that I need it, and then I'll chuck it into my DeWalt drill. I'll flip this sanding band over. This is how us poor folk do it. I'll invert this sanding band that goes on one of my hand sanders, and I'll put it around the carbon fiber rod, and I will bring down the surface ever so slightly, back and forth, until it just fits in the bearing. Even though it says it's 5mm, I might get lucky and I might get one that actually fits in there, depending on the company, because I'm getting a different rods from different company. They might slide right into the bearings and I might get lucky. But in the event that they don't, you just basically chuck it in the drill, pull the trigger, come back and forth on the carbon fiber rod until you're taking off little bits at a time with a really fine sandpaper. And that will get me to the dimensions I'm looking for. I need it to be a snug fit in here. It's going to be cut to length. It'll be CA glued into here. Okay, so it's not coming out of this collet. That'll go down into the bearings and then attach to the motor. The sun gear will drive the fan. You all know how that works. And then we're golden. And that's a beautiful fan. I'll tell you that right now. Damn, that's going so smooth. I could probably balance it if I needed to, right here inside the casing. But it's really hard to balance 22 blades. So that's where this idea came in. That's what I want a pocket NC for. So I can just basically make this out of steel or aluminum and then do each individual blade out of the aircraft grade aluminum and then slide them together. So this is the hubbed version of that fan, which is printed. This is fully printed. It's not in separate pieces. It's actually one whole piece. And because the Bamboo X1 carbon has a lot of room on it. So there's a lot of stuff I can print on this thing in one piece. I mean, I'm happy to have that Bamboo Lab X1 carbon. It is probably the best printer I've had. And I'm only, you know, I kind of have to say that because it is the best printer I've ever had, because the only other printer I've ever had is an Ender. I mean, I had a Formlabs printer a long time ago, but it was like the Form 2, and it was like tiny. You couldn't really get anything big off of it. Some of the resins might have been useful in this project, but they haven't reached out to me, and I haven't asked them, you know, to donate a printer or something. And what are they going to do? They're going to, oh, you got 1,500 subscribers. Sure, have a printer. And then they're all going to go laugh. But when the Strike XL takes off, then we'll see who's laughing. I know, Sags, you're going to be there with friggin' popcorn. You're going to be like, this is going to be bitchin'. So, no matter what happens, it's going to be awesome. I'm probably going to have to do some tethered testing as well. Either in my backyard or in the garage and clear off enough space. I'm worried about the ground effect and then the wall effect kind of causing an issue with it, with all 4 of the motors inside the garage. So I may have to set up a tethered system just until I get the gyro filters kind of fine-tuned, because I've got to set the gyro filters, I've got to set the frequency, the low frequency cutoff, the high frequency cutoff. I've got to set the unicorn factor, the Q factor. I know that sounds funny, but that's what it's called. Just to make sure that I don't have any interference in the gyro itself from fan vibration or fan speed. I discovered that during the first Shrike build. So that's what we're going to do. So, not going to be a long live tonight. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew to be looking for a premiere of this being assembled and spun up. And I will be there on mic and in chat to make sure that everybody gets all the information they need. So if you are not yet subscribed, please do so. Hit the bell so you're notified, because this spin up is coming pretty soon. And I am going to be, and when I say pretty soon, I'm talking within the next couple of days. I'll film it, get it set up, set the premiere up. You'll all know when the premiere is coming out, because I think it notifies you if you click the bell that a premiere is coming. I'll be on there with you. We'll all be talking, chatting, having a good time. And then we will run the video and you guys will see exactly what happens. So be ready for it. Again, it's kind of late in the evening for the live to start, but I wanted to get out there and tell you what was going on. Be ready for that premiere. It's one of my first premieres, never done one. You're going to get the crisp sound of that NT1 microphone. You're going to get whatever the hell video I can get out of this iPhone. And then, almost wish I had a Samsung. Then, we're all going to sit back and enjoy and watch either a spectacular victory or a catastrophic failure. Either way, it's going to be really freaking entertaining. So until we meet again during the premiere, keep watching the shorts, because I'll keep informing you of my progress during the shorts. And then the premiere will come. We will all enjoy it together and have a great time. So until then, from me and everyone here at DPC, you all have a good evening. Have a great night. Have a wonderful weekend. And you may see me for another live tomorrow or Sunday or at some point, just so we can kind of catch up and chat, have a good time, talk about the project, talk about whatever you want. And then pray by the grace of God I do not catch one of these blades in the forehead. So have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you all again soon.